I'm impressed.
Are we having fun yet?
Josh Primo and Coach Pop are cooking something up in the kitchen. I've been saying this for so long, and it's finally starting to show glimpses of it. Now, I will say this. A lot of people want to kind of discredit what Josh Primo has done previously before getting these NBA minutes. And I have said this plenty of times that he was going to get the minutes. He was going to eventually be able to play his way out of the G League. And also that even in the G League, it is impressive for him to do what he did against that type of talent. The G League are not scrubs. And this is a guy that had a completely different role in college than he does right now. So let's go ahead and go into it. So we're going to first go over his stats, and then we're going to go into what Coach Pop had to say about Josh Primo, why it's a little controversial, and how I feel about Coach Pop's comments. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the stats. So here's his stats. Now looking at it right off the bat, you'll say that this isn't that impressive, that, you know, this is just normal, you know, this is anybody could do this. But I will go ahead and say why I found this very impressive. So he went 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, 5 for 6 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. He led our team in blocks, and the person behind him was Derek White with 1 block. And I have made comparisons between Derek White and Josh Primo plenty of times, just defensively, because I think the IQ is there. Josh Primo isn't the most physical guy. Derek White isn't the most physical guy, but they could potentially be the best defender on the court when they're out there because of their IQ. And that's just how I feel about it. But what made Josh Primo's 4 for 10 so impressive? I will say this. He was able to score in different facets that I don't even think that other scouts saw coming. Josh Primo, obviously in college, he had a completely different role, and that's what he kind of specialized in as far as a catch and shooter, you know, just, you know, be open, shoot it, get ready, you know, just, you know, shoot your shot, right? And that's what Josh Primo was really good at, and that's what most people expected him to be. But in this game, he was able to do that along with create his own shot, be a shot creator, and facilitate. And I really enjoyed that from his game. And one thing I'll say about Josh Primo is I think that he's going to have a very, very, very long career because of this, because he has the capability of not only creating his own shot, but also being able to be a catch and shooter. I've said this before, one of my favorite players is Kyle Anderson. And if I was an NBA player, I would have wanted to model my game after him, because he's going to be able to last so long in the NBA because you can fit him on any team and be successful. And I think Josh Primo, that's the type of career he could potentially have, where he can just be in so many different positions and play fairly well. If you need Josh Primo to just give you assists and just make everyone else better, he can do that. If you need him to be a catch and shooter and run around screens and you know, just shoot the open shot, he can do that. If you need him to, you know, shot create, he can do it. So that's just my thoughts on Josh Primo's game and why I found it pretty impressive. But this is what I really wanted to go into, what Coach Pop had to say about Josh Primo. So let me back this up a little bit and just check this out, because I found this pretty interesting and I am going to give my thoughts on it.
But if I could really do what I wanted to do and I didn't care about anything else in the world, I'd throw him in the frying pan the way we did Tony Parker. You know, Tony was 19, but the difference was Tony played a couple of years against grown men in the European leagues, you know, before he came over. So it was a little bit different situation.
Okay, so before I go into this quote from Coach Pop, I do want to say this, okay? Look, I got to be honest, all right? I do have a flaw when it comes to critiquing Coach Pop. I think that a lot of you guys have noticed that I don't go very hard on Pop. And the reason being isn't because I think that Pop is above criticism. I really don't believe that at all. It's just that sometimes I have a hard time deciphering between who's giving good criticism and who's giving Coach Pop criticism because of something weird, like political thing that you have against Pop. That's the weird thing about it, because I've seen critiques of Pop where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a fine critique. And then they'll follow it with, he hasn't won championships since he's become woke. That's where I'm like, I don't like that, you know? So I kind of always just kind of play devil's advocate sometimes with things. But I will say this about Pop, all right? And I'm going to be very unbiased. I love Pop, but I'm going to be unbiased. Popovich is a basketball genius. He is. I don't think anyone would really dispute that. If you do, then it's like, okay, then no one is a basketball genius. If Pop can't be a basketball genius, there's no such thing as a basketball genius. So Coach Pop is a basketball genius. Okay, we can all agree on that, right? I will say this, though. With that comes overthinking sometimes. Popovich, that's his biggest flaw, is sometimes he overthinks. Sometimes it's a very robotic way of thinking, and it can get us in trouble. It doesn't happen all the time. Obviously, we got 5 championship rings, okay? But it does hurt us sometimes. And one of the biggest flaws of, I would say, in his career was 2013 when he took out, Tim Duncan on the shot, the Ray Allen shot. That was totally on Pop. Like, we can blame Pop for that one. But with that being said, his reasoning, it technically made sense on a basketball level, but it's just one of those things where it's like, no, Pop, just put your best player out there. And so that's one thing that I will critique Pop on. But I will say this. I think in this situation with the Josh Primo thing, I don't think that this is necessarily a poor decision from Pop. Now, the reason being is because he kind of said it himself. The whole Tony Parker situation, and a lot of fans have been saying this. What about Tony Parker? He was 19. Tony Parker did play against grown men. Okay, Tony Parker was in the French league. He played at a professional level for at least a season or 2, right? When it comes to Josh Primo, I would say that him being in the G League and him getting this experience is more important than anything else. You have to also understand that Popovich has grown over the years. The reason why he's been able to win championships in 3 different decades, 1, Tim Duncan, but 2, because he adjusts, okay? No one was ever trying to kick Pop out because he was able to adjust over the years, and they had a great relationship, him and Tim Duncan, because of that. So when it comes to Josh Primo, I think Popovich even sees it as this is a more effective way of making sure Josh Primo is solid, making sure that he can stay healthy, that he grows naturally, and you don't just throw him in there, because when you did it with Tony Parker, you still had a really nice blanket. You still had Tim Duncan. You had David Robinson in 2003. So, like, you had a nice blanket to throw him in there. Also, you were pretty desperate for the next great point guard, right? So, I understand that. So, it's a little different. And I will add this as well, because a lot of people say that G League is just scrubs. If you look at the G League, and you just look at some of the players in the G League, this isn't a crazy sample size by any means, but it is nice nonetheless to at least look at what type of talent you have coming in here. I mean, we have people from Australia, Canada, China, Croatia, Dominican Republic, France, Greece, Georgia, Jamaica, Japan, Lithuania. Like, you have a lot of different types of players in the G League. So it's not just scrubs. These are great players from across the globe that enters the G League. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. You got to keep it in perspective that even though it might be a little frustrating at times, him being in the G League is helping him, has helped him, and it's going to continue to help him if they send him back. And right now, obviously, he's had a really good game in the NBA, but it's going to be important for him to be able to be in the G League and be in those different situations. Tony Parker didn't necessarily have that luxury, but you know what? He did play overseas with grown men, and that's kind of the same thing with Primo at this point. So yeah, I just want you guys just to keep that in mind. Overall, I think that it's totally fine to critique Pop at certain instances, but I think in this situation, I think Pop is spot on. Also, I will say this. I wanted to show you this. Wieskamp had 13 points, and I'm going to do a video on this as well. But I will say that Josh Primo and Wieskamp, they have a really nice connection, like a really, really nice connection. And I saw a lot of that too. I think that's part of what helped Josh Primo as well, even though, Wieskamp didn't play until the end or whatever. But overall, they look really good together. But yeah, I just want to know what you guys think, about this whole situation. Do you agree with Pop? Disagree with Pop? Please leave it in the comments. But yeah, and also if you want to support the channel, I got that link also, the Patreon link or the YouTube member link. That's in the description as well. It's only $2 per month if you want to support the channel. For some reason, some people are having issues with the YouTube member link. I don't know what's going on with that. It might be just due to you having to go on a desktop or like on your laptop if you want to join. So just try that. See, some people said that worked, so I don't know what's going on. But I'll give it to you guys later, man. Until next time, deuces.